Simon, it's time for me to bring you right up to date with how our friends at ifab are right now, the lawmakers. Let me throw this at you. Despite calls for greater communication and transparency, it's a no from ifab. They're denying VAR decisions being heard live in stadiums and at home. They're not having it. Having said that, are they right to say that? Maybe they're using evidence of the recent chaotic scene that was that Luis Diaz goal against Tottenham.
2D line on the boot.
Yep, okay.
Wait.
So 2D line on the boot.
And stop. Check complete. Check complete. It's fine. Perfect.
Yeah. Off.
Thank you, mate.
Wait. The on-field decision was offside. Are you happy with this?
Yeah.
Are you happy with this?
Offside
On-field
goal. Yeah. That's
No,
what it does.
What?
On-field decision was offside. Are you happy with this image?
It's fine.
Yeah, it's onside. The image we gave you is onside.
Left back.
He's gone offside.
Now, I tell you what, if you'd imagine if we'd heard that live in a stadium, Simon, or live on your telly, ifab say that would create a chaotic, unsafe environment for referees. They're not wrong, are they?
Yeah, I mean, obviously some other people that are advancing the argument that you need to hear everything would say that, as I often say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. If you want to if you want to be in a position where you've got ultimate authority, make the right decisions and be diligent in what you're doing, and no one deserves protection for that kind of mistake, because there isn't an explanation for it. That was incompetence at its worst.
Yeah.
Right. I suspect most people's disagreement, I don't believe that there's a necessity to listen to the decision-making process. I believe we've got far too much of it at times. I believe there's a necessity to accept authority, to accept decisions, and decisions are made at times that you won't agree with, and decisions are made that are wrong. The next thing is, if you have transparency and the audio, the next thing you'll have fans sitting inside this truck at Stockley Park, because it'll need to be that's the next thing.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that they need to improve. They need to improve the decision.
Too many voices.
Well, yeah. I mean, some people will say that because of rugby and because of that product, why shouldn't football? Well, why shouldn't football for a lot of reasons? And a lot of the reasons are because of the temperament, the texture, the culture, the tribalism, the outlook and the disposition of football is very different. It's not steeped in respect. Football is not a culture that's steeped in respect. It should be, because it's such a valuable and wonderful game.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's steeped in vitriol, trying to find disdain or contempt for the opposition, or criticism. That's what it's steeped in. And of course, and the recognition of brilliance as well.
Well, I'm looking at the words that they've chosen here, Simon. It could create chaotic, unsafe environment for referees. Unsafe.
Well, I think that's a bit over-egging the pudding. I think there's a bit of hyperbole in there. I think it's a case of they need to add something on to the end of it, because they've made the decision. No means no. We are the authority in the game. We're making the rules. We decide that ultimately the authority is with the referee and with Stockley Park, and we don't need 25,000 fans screaming their head off whilst decisions are being made.
Yeah.
And I'm inclined to agree. Because VAR was brought in to aid and abet referees. It has increased the level of outcomes that are of benefit to the game. It has decreased the spontaneity. It has caused more controversy because there was a ridiculous starting point that somebody told the football world that VAR was 100% accuracy. So with that in mind, anything that interacts with humans, and we saw human error was in that decision at Tottenham, because they weren't aware of what was happening on the field. They didn't realise that the on-field decision was offside, so they were adjudicating. And we all know this is a well-rehearsed speech. So the point is that the necessity to drill down on why everything works. It's the way that society seems to work at this moment in time. Everyone seems to have a sense of entitlement about what they should have to have explained to them and what they should and shouldn't have to accept. In an ideal world, VAR and refereeing decisions would be 99.9% of the time right. In the real world, anything above 97% or 96%, which is where VAR operates, is as good as it gets with technology or without technology.
Yeah.
And it should be accepted. But because of the way that we are, we've now got VAR supporting referees because we created a temperature and a climate where referees couldn't not have technology. We've got technology, so we're now moving it onto the technology because we're saying the technology should be operating at 100%. And when we've got that working, we'll still want transparency for the odd exception that slips through. I don't think it's necessary, and I think they're right. And I think they should have more courage and say no means no.
Yeah,
we've decided that for the best interests of football and for the way that we want our officials to referee, no means no. Not then add on the bits about, it's an unsafe environment, because people will look at it and go, well, no one's going to storm the truck at Stockley Park, are they?
Well, it hasn't come to that yet. So that's where we've got to. IFAB saying no to VAR decisions being heard live in stadiums and at home. Is it the right decision? Addy, as a Liverpool fan, Addy, what do you think? Would it just be too chaotic?
No, it wouldn't be too chaotic. And I just think you're being disingenuous. Well, first of all, that's classic IFAB and the lack of respect they have for the footballers and the fans. Because I played rugby all my life, played football, played rugby all my life. And Wayne Barnes, you don't hear what the VAR guy is saying. You just hear the communication. And the fans are the people that pay the money, and they get the worst deal of it. And it's a lack of respect in terms of, you can go on about the hooliganism age or what have you, but people are hearing that. I'm a Liverpool fan. I listened to that Spurs thing. No one rioted. And that was one of the worst decisions you could have seen. There were several that day. But you've got to have some respect for the actual fans that we're not going to riot because we don't like the decision. The decisions are chaotic and rubbish as it is anyway.
Addy's got a point, Sandy. They pay the money.
But that's not true, Addy. I agree with you. I agree with you that the language that is used is unnecessary, and it's creating a temperature that you just described, which is no one's going to be, like I just said a moment ago, no one's going to be storming Stockley Park, and it doesn't come down to a lack of respect. And if anyone deserves a lack of respect at times, it's the players, for some of the reasons that are now being introduced through officialdom, that they're clamping down on simulation, they're clamping down on time wasting, they're clamping down on cheating because there's a necessity to do so. So that's the reasons why there might be an element of disregard for the players, or we can have Martin Keown on here telling us how much rest the players need to be able to carry the money bags that they're getting on a weekly basis.
Addy, you think you're being cheated out of something here?
How do you mean I feel cheated out of? I'm not. Yeah, but you have to clarify that a bit.
You're saying
devalued.
You say you've got every right to be listening to it inside the stadium. How they get to a certain decision.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Can I speak? Can I just say that the whole way that rugby and the players interact with each other, there has been that respect. And you can say, football there isn't, and there's a certain amount of, there's a high degree of disrespect between players and officials. That has gone on, and it seems to be accepted. And it's great that they're clamping some of that down. Out. That's fine. But I'm talking about the grown-up maturity. You'll hear Wayne Barnes talk, because it's a different game, but he'll be talking to the players, preventing infringements. That's where the communication is. The respect is there on both sides. But you can have it in football now, because all right, hooliganism still goes on. But they should actually look at the fact that what people are paying, think about what happened in COVID. The brand is no good without the fans, and the fans in the ground are getting cheated because they should be the first people to know what's going on. And people are more likely to accept it because they hear the decision. They might not agree with it, but it's been played out, and it's classic. And
so you believe that hearing the audio is going to convince fans that they're more likely...
Simon, it's not hearing the audio. You hear the communication between...
Well, that's the audio.
They don't hear it, no. It's completely
audio
different.
Communication, then?
Can I finish? Can I speak? You do not hear the whole audio on the rugby union.
Are we going to have a debate about bloody semantics? We're talking about someone being able to hear something audibly. So audio.
Simon, you get to speak all day long. I'm just trying to say that it's not about the full audio. You wouldn't have to have that. What you have is the communication between the referee saying, this is what I think, and then the VAR guys or whatever, you in the rugby union. You don't hear them talking amongst each other. You don't have to have that.
No one was suggesting that. That would be silly, wouldn't it? We're not listening to a radio show at Stockley Park. You're listening to an audio based upon the decision-making process. So what you believe is, as a football fan, you're entitled...
You're deliberately obfuscating. You are deliberately obfuscating because you are. Because you don't have that. You have the whole point where all they do is you don't listen to the audio, you listen to the communication between the referee and the VAR.
Which is what I just said. Which is what I just said.
No, because the piece you played about Tottenham and Liverpool, no one wants to hear that.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that characterisation. You're not listening. I don't agree with that characterisation at all. I don't think that's the necessity for the dialogue that's going on here. What you're suggesting, there is a fundamental entitlement for football fans to be involved in the decision-making process. And I don't agree with you, because I think in life you have to accept certain things. The authority, you have to accept it. You want to be part of the decision-making process, yeah?
No, it's not that.
Well, what do you want to know? What do you want to know then? What difference does it make?
Stop trying to put words. Stop, Jim, would you stop?
Well, you just told me I'm deliberately doing something, so you're putting words in my mouth.
Addy, I'm just horrified at the way your morning has turned. Addy, the Liverpool fan, who's saying, no, IFAB have got it wrong, and that fans have every entitlement to hear how they got to certain decisions, and that the conversation should be made public. But IFAB, sorry, Addy, are saying no. By God, you were getting twisted and roasted there, were you not? Addy was more than a match for you.
You're very clever.
Yeah, that was all right. Addy, well done.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.